What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today we got a pretty cool video. We are back with the Civic, if you guys can't tell by this interior that I'm in. And after a bunch of weeks of not working on the Civic, we're finally gonna try to finish this car. I have a set deadline for about the next 5 to 6 weeks, as my cousin from Arkansas is coming down, and I really want to have this car ready so that we could drive it around, maybe take it to a couple meets with him. I have a bunch of parts that I have ordered for the Civic that are just sitting in my house. First thing that we're going to be installing to kick off this little deadline project time for the Civic is a new throttle body. It's a Block's Tuner Series throttle body. I believe it's a 72 millimeter throttle body, so it should open up a little bit more, suck in a little bit more of air. And so let's go ahead and unbox this bad boy real quick. And this is the part. This is another install that I have no idea what I'm doing. We're gonna go ahead and learn as we go. A little bit scratched up, not too sure if that's anything like damaged wise, but you know, just first impressions looking at it right now. That's pretty much it. Inside the box we get a sticker from Blocks. We also get the bolts and a little gasket for it. Yeah, I'm super excited to finally put this on. I go ahead and look under the hood, see what we got to take off, see what we got to, you know, do to pretty much install this new throttle body. Start off by removing the front bumper so we can have some access to the air intake that sits by the wheel. We're also going to remove the strut bar so that we could have access to the intake from the top. And that is the first look at the throttle body that we are going to be working on. Here's the new one. As you can see, there's already some type of differences. On the old one, we have the old map sensor still on the top location, and on the new one, it's not there no more. For the map sensor, you got to remove those 2 bolts and it comes off easily. For the throttle body cable, it has a pin that inserts into 2 holes. One of them has a little divot, which is where you align the wire, so that when you're pulling it out, it could come out through that little divot pretty easy once you're actually looking at it. Next thing you want to remove is the charcoal canister hose. That wire is the TPS. It's the throttle position sensor, which you also have to remove. This hose towards the bottom of the throttle position sensor is a coolant line, so whenever you're trying to remove this one, just make sure to not leak it everywhere, and like in case if you like to work in a clean space. We do have another coolant line that we have to remove, but we're first going to work on the 4 bolts holding the throttle body, just so that we could have better access to the other coolant line. It's a 12 millimeter socket. And when you're actually trying to take off the throttle body, it's a bit hard. It looks a little bit easy how I do it right now, but it did take about 5 to 10 minutes of trying to pry it off. And there you go. It's so satisfying when it came off. There's Boomer, guys. Quick little update. He's still kicking. Now that the throttle body is unmounted, if you look to the side, it has that nipple right there. It's another coolant line. I could have probably just pulled off the hose, but I decided to just take off the 2 bolts. And out is our old throttle body. Looks pretty old, pretty small compared to the new one, very oxidized. It just looked nasty in the engine bay. And the little hole wasn't holding up the new intake that we installed, so this one wasn't serving that purpose anymore. If you guys couldn't tell the difference, the bigger hole, which is better for more air. There is a bunch of differences. This throttle body eliminates all of the coolant lines and the canister. I can't remember, the carbon canister or something like that, which this one I believe is for the carbon canister and this one's for coolant. And I imagine this one's for coolant as well. On the OEM, the map sensor is on the top, and on this new throttle body, they move it to the bottom. Kind of cool, kind of cleans up the whole top part of the car, or the engine bay. So now we're just gonna go ahead and swap over sensor and put it on this side. Out of laziness, I tried setting up the throttle body on the old nut and bolts setup, but because the throttle body is a lot wider, the nuts don't fit around onto the bolts anymore. So they give you a new set that's a lot slimmer so that it fits around it with the new throttle body setup. In order to remove these, I just used one of those little vice, I don't know what these are called. In Spanish they're called pericas. And so yeah, I just decided to use one of those and it worked out pretty good. Okay, so it's been a couple days. Here's the deal with the throttle body. So there's the throttle body, new, freshly installed. The problem now is because it is a much wider throttle body, when I was trying to install the little throttle cable onto here, it wouldn't let me open it all the way. Because this throttle body is much wider than the actual intake manifold, the little panel thingy ends up hitting on the actual intake manifold because that hole is not big enough. We also have a problem now with the coolant cables. So this coolant cable, because this throttle body ends up deleting all the coolant lines and the charcoal canister little nipple thingies, we now have to figure out what we're gonna do with this cooling hose and that coolant hose. The charcoal canister, I guess we really don't really need that one that much. I'll still try to find a way or something to do with it. But the coolant hose, I went on a little Facebook page. Much of this hose can connect to that hose. So that should be pretty simple for the next video. And for this intake manifold, we're gonna end up porting it. I was thinking of buying a new intake manifold, but that's a lot of money and I don't really know if I want to invest too much money on this D series. I want to do it a little more on the budget side. So we're pretty much just gonna port that. We're gonna step into my little office or my little storage where I keep all of my stuff. Just a little sneak peek to a future video. For the past couple of days that I was trying to drive the Civic, it's been having like a squeaking sound. Ever since I installed the new lower control arms, it's been squeaking. It's been pissing me off. The LCAs are the reason for that. On Facebook, I'm in a little group chat. I'm on a Facebook group of a bunch of EGs and hatches and stuff like that, and I actually posted my problem, and one of the guys reached out to me saying that the lower control arms possibly needed some grease or I should have put some lube, and I didn't even know that that was a thing. I thought you put him on and lowered it, because in none of the videos no one explains that. Oh fuck, it's all sticky now. If you guys watched my previous video of the lower control arm installed, these are really new. I bought them and installed them and they were squeaking, and that's because the bushings were under a lot of stress. As you guys can see, that bushing is torn and it's because it wasn't lubricated. So when I installed it, it was just rubbing and it tore. The guy recommended me this lube. Now it doesn't say anything, but it's an energy suspension, Formula 5, something like that, and it's grease for suspension. Again, I'm not a mechanic. I've never worked on cars. This is the first car that I'm ever going in depth with or working on at all. So, you know, these are little mistakes that you make at the beginning, but now we know, we're learning. So I'm gonna have this link down below. You guys can go purchase that on Amazon, and I'm pretty much gonna test it out. We'll see how this works out. I'll give you guys an update once I actually drive the car. Oh, let me show you guys this one. This one's pretty bad. Dang, this one's even worse than the first one. So in order to do this job, the socket is to pretty much punch out the black bushing. Smaller socket to punch out the little metal bushing thingy. You need a flathead screwdriver, pry it up. Once you pry it up just a little bit, you'll use a much bigger one. This one will be used to lift it up completely. Little tip when you're doing this, go around the whole little ring, because if you're just going one side, it's just gonna get stuck, kind of like tilted. Lift it up. If you guys know an easier way to do it, go ahead, but this is what was working out for me. Now that we hold this hole, this is where the sockets come in. So for the little one, we're gonna use the smaller socket, just gonna tap it out. Same thing, just make sure to pry it up a little bit. There you go. There you go. Use the bigger socket. there you go. That's one bushing out. Let's repeat that for all the bushings. This lube is really sticky and it gets everywhere, and it's waterproof. So I really recommend, I mean, you guys get gloves and try to figure it out your own way, how to keep it clean and organized. You wanna grab your lube. This is what it looks like. So you wanna grab a little bit or a lot. Depends how you roll. Depends how much lube you like. And so you wanna just spread it around inside the metal. Now you wanna grab one of the block bushings. And so you grab more lube and you start putting it all around. Now you can go ahead and push it back in. Once it's in, you can start lubing up the inside of that rubber now. So now that you've added that one, you can start working on the other one. Now that that's all lubed up, you grab your little metal pieces or aluminum pieces, whatever these are, and you add some on there too. Just go ahead and insert it. There you go. Go ahead and stick this one in there. There you go, guys. I'll give you guys a little update once I put them on and drive it around, see how I like it.